In this video today, I'm working on making garden stakes that will hold down the edges of a tarp that I can put around my vegetable plants to help prevent weeds from growing. Initially, I tried holding the cover down with rocks, but the cover just blew over and the rocks failed. This problem brought on an engineering challenge. How can I keep my plastic tarp in place? I chose to do that by making stakes. In engineering, it's important to consider the materials and design when planning how they will hold up to the forces that they will be subjected to. I have intentionally decided to put the majority of the plastic strokes going in the direction that the stakes will be driven down into the ground to make them stronger. Here is a clip of what happens when I made the stake with random strokes. You can also see that I made a layer of strokes that were perpendicular to my main pattern, and that decision was the result of another failed attempt. When the strokes were all parallel, they splintered apart as the stake was driven into the ground. When engineering, it's completely normal to have failed attempts at solving a problem. A simple engineering process includes identifying a problem to solve, creating a list of ideas that could potentially solve the problem, narrowing down those ideas, and selecting some to try out. The selected ideas are turned into prototypes, which need to be tested and refined. After obtaining a solution, the engineer finalizes the design and prepares it for production. Even at this stage, the engineer may monitor and adjust the design if necessary. It's important to keep in mind that sometimes even finalized plans might fail. The reason that I put two identical stakes on this pattern is so that one stake can be cooling while you start on another one. My favorite work surface when working with 3D pens is self-adhesive lamination. It's really durable as long as you don't pull the filament off before it has completely cooled. Even slightly warm filament will pull and warp the lamination a little bit. But anyway, back to my engineering talk. My personal engineering process for garden stakes started when I realized that rocks alone were not going to be sufficient to hold my plastic down in place. When I decided to make some stakes for the corners of the tarp, I hand drew a pattern and made 4 different stakes using different 3D pen techniques to build them. When I tested them in my garden, a few didn't even hold up to being pounded in. I made a few more prototypes that matched the successful ones. They were skinnier than the pattern that you see here. That weekend we had a thunderstorm with lots of wind, and when I checked on my tarp, the stakes were successfully still in the ground. However, the edges of the plastic tarp had torn, which is why I made these stakes thicker. If the plastic rips again, I'm not going to redesign the stakes, but I'll start the engineering process all over again, focusing on the corners of the plastic this time.